I don't like, 1 second. Okay. Nalia? Naila,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, you can share the screen.
Share the screen. Start screen share. Hmm.
Perfect. The live stream is ready.
Oh, 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Uh, I'm hearing the YouTube. Okay. Shall we begin?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Uttar Pradesh Power BI Club. Today, for the Microsoft Fabric Thursdays, I am going to present some amazing details about the UX principles and how you can create an amazing product by covering all the edge cases. I call this deck living on the edge. It's about covering all your edge cases, but not just use cases. And especially with the automation and AI getting into product design space, I think there's a lot of steps that are skipped that are human centered. And if we don't focus on these areas, we might end up in situations where you can lose your customers. So I think this case study is going to directly impact a lot of your decisions, helping you get a lovable product as well as creating trust between your customers and your product. So before I begin, I just had one question. Um, do you have unresolved feelings and anxiety about is my idea complete enough? Or are people enjoying my product? Or have I covered all my use cases? Now, that's the major questions that we all think about, that have I covered all my use cases? Which I think I want to shift this focus from use cases to edge cases because often we forget about that. So today's talk, I want to talk about all the edge cases, and that's why we call it living on the edge. Talking about living on the edge, hi, my name is Pratyush Tiwari, and I am a human computer interaction specialist based here in New York City. Um, I basically connect computers with humans, but I'm also a human who wants to try everything. And if there is any new tool that is available for me to make my life simpler, I definitely try it. And I love it when it works, but I also hate it when it doesn't work. So I am very acutely penchant about like thoughtfully crafted ideas, and that's why I think covering all the edge cases is really important for me. So, what is an edge case? I think everybody knows here it's a problem or a situation that occurs when a product outside its operating system is put into a situation outside of its normal range of parameters. This is where I think if we don't cover our edge cases, this is where the product fails and the workflow stops. Um, it's very important because it is a measure of our product's reliability. In the range where in the best case scenarios where you expect the product to behave properly, that's good. But often when you distribute your product digitally, especially digitally, there are a lot of ways where you do not know the context of the user, and the user might click here or there, or networks don't work, or they come into your product from a different situation that you have described for. This is where the reliability of the system goes down the drain if you are not covering your edge cases. Um, in a nutshell, I think it's very important that a mature consumer product should not have a step where the target user is likely to fail a fundamental task. And what is a fundamental task? We can explain, like if it's a banking system, is doing banking a fundamental task, or logging into your system is a fundamental task, getting a report is a fundamental task, or just like pushing ads to the consumers for new services is a fundamental task. These are the questions that I think you can work with your product manager to define fundamental tasks. But whatever the fundamental tasks are, the user should not likely to have failed in that step. This is where I think the user will stop using your services. So to cover this presentation, I think I am going to group different pro tips that I'll share with you, and I'm going to group them in 4 principles, which is first, expand your goals, live in the user's context. Thirdly, push your technology because that's limitless. And then the fourth is really important, which is be transparent. Now, this is the ethical nature of your product. If you're more transparent, I think the trust with your product will be even greater. So let's look at them one by one. First on the list is expand your goals. So let's deep dive into what it means. Now, we are, as a designers, often measured against metrics, and there are a lot of metrics that are quite popular in the world, and product managers love these matrices. Uh, some of the biggest ones are the Net Promoter Score and the Customer Satisfaction Score. I put the links on these so that you can go and find them in detail. So the first three, Net Promoter Score, Customer Satisfaction Score, and Customer Effort Score, these are directly related to a very simple surveys, and this is where you can create a direction of the customers, whether they are going in positive direction or a negative direction. But you don't get any details about like how is the system behaving or performing based on different edge cases. So I'm not going to go into too much details about them since they are very popular, and I put the links also. But I want to focus a little bit on the usability side of the matrices, which is the system usability scale and the pragmatic usability rating by expert, which is called also pure. Now, I want to segue into the fifth one, the pure method. This is actually not that popular, but it's really important because it can be used before you launch the product and then can continue monitoring it as your product changes over time. So just to give you a quick overview of what pure method is, this is basically you and your colleagues internally can rate each step in a task. Let's say a task is logging in. So you like add your username, password, or you're using or like an double factor authentication, or some token key, something like that. That are different steps in the task of logging in. So you and your colleagues can rate from 1 to 3 on the difficulty level of how difficult is that to finish that task. Then you sum up the task and then create a score, which is basically then you average between all your participants in the pure method. Now, this way, for all your tasks, you will get a score which is based on that version of the product. Now, as you go further down the version, like version 1, version 2, version 3, you can see that you can, when you perform these tests over and over again, you can measure between the previous version and the next version on how the score is changing. Now, the goal is not to get the lowest score, but I think the goal would be to create a negative number in the rate of the scores. And that's how you can reduce the complexity over time and see that if your product is getting simplified or not. Um, Obviously, there is a minimum complexity in every system. That's called Tesla's law. So our goal is not to reduce the complexity to a level where it detriments the quality of the product itself, but as much as possible over time, you should decrease the complexity of your tasks. Um, and why I'm saying this is because I think there is this is this is called idea, but uh, back to the principles now. As I was saying, that this is about expanding goals. Let's look at this diagram here. The product and the idea is basically what you focus on a lot. Marketing and customer support is something that is outside the core services in most of the companies. If you keep focusing on the product and your idea, developing those things will meet the customer needs for the current or the future user. Why I want you to expand this to all the way to customer support is because, as you can see, the users are sitting next to the customer support. If there is any failure in any of the edge cases, users are going to contact the customer support first. They're not going to be able to talk to the designer or the developer or the product manager of that product. So this is very important that you expand your support from in the design of the product itself all the way to the customer support. And that's how you can help the customers get resolutions as fast as possible. Now let's take a few examples here. Okay. So this is a screenshot from very popular help from Google. And this is basically an error that is happening for years. This is when you connect your phone in your car, the music automatically starts playing, even if you have turned off the button for autoplay. Now, this is there anything that quirks you in this thread? I'll give you a second. I'm going to the next slide and show you. This question is logged and replying has been disabled by the administrator. Why do you do that? This is a public forum. So why do you stop people from asking questions? You haven't solved the problem. You haven't told them how to create a resolution, or you haven't given them any steps to mitigate the risks, and you just lock the users down. So my first pro tip is don't shut down your customers. This frustrates the users a lot, especially when the problem isn't solved. Let them question it. It's not about your image. The more people discuss about your problems openly, the better your product will be. So don't shy away or get scared that people are creating feedback for you, right? You've created this medium, let them do it. So that's my first pro tip for expanding your goals. The second pro tip would be we often nudge our customers to send feedback. This is from Apple, where like there is a problem that has been going on for years, uh, and their resolution is, can you create a suggestion in the feedback form? Now, this is really a difficult point for the user to decide whether they should do it or not, because they probably have done it so many times without any confirmation that their feedback was heard. So please don't ask for feedback when you don't have intentions to respond to the feedback, right? This is where it's a communication between your users and your service center. Create a communication, not a one-way channel. So that would be a live support. Expand your goal to provide better live support. Um, Passive support. Now, this is basically as your product grows, so will your inventory, and it will become very hard to manage communication that you have published before. So, in this case, where there are screenshots from two different pages from Mozilla account, the user is requesting to delete his access, and the suggestion is, well, we can't delete your account because there is no way to find the authenticity of the request. So you can just create a new account. This is basically where the company is failing the user. there is a legal requirement that the user can access their data to be deleted. This is company's obligation to fulfill that. Not being able to do that for years is a violation and a legal problem that you can get into. So always grow your support as the rules changes, and basically have a scalable strategy for your passive support as well. Um, so just to recap on expand your goals is don't shut your customers down, ask for feedback and have an intention to reply or to let the customers know that their feedback has been heard, and then grow your support with the product with time. Now, let's look at the second group, which is live in your user's context. Now, these are all the principles from the contextual design theory of UX design. This is where you put yourself in user's shoe. So, let's take a few examples. This is pro tip number 4, which is don't rely on third-party technology to an extent where the user even not like cannot even access your system. This is an example where to log into LIC services, they generate OTP. This is very common thing in India where every login is now an OTP, and they think that OTP is a secure medium. It's not. It's hackable. It can be read by man in the middle. It's definitely not secure at any uh, scale, even though every website relies on or mandates an OTP on the phone as a plain SMS. Anyway, most of the times, and I'm very sure that you will resonate with this use case, that your OTP doesn't come. Sometimes there is hours between your login request and the OTP that you receive. Sometimes it just doesn't even come. So this is the problem where the user is not able to log in to the system because you have relied yourself on a third party solution and only one solution. Um, you should always try to create multiple resources of secure login and to provide two-factor authentication. There are numerous authenticator apps, there are code, there are physical keys, phone numbers, email, OTPs. There's so many ways you can authenticate the user. So rely on a lot of different backups. So safeguard your point of entry. That's pro tip number 4. Consistency above all. My pro tip number 5 is you have to treat all the devices the same. Now, this is a popular example from Netflix where there is a setting where you can stop autoplay on your in the settings app, where when you hover or touch on any of the thumbnails, it starts playing a loop of the video and you can turn it off. That does not work on the TV app. There is no way for user to shut it down. There is no settings panel in the TV app. Why is that? This is where your continuity is broken. Either provide a setting for the TV itself, or you have to basically percolate the settings through all the devices. So you have to treat all the devices the same. Why do you think that the user will not want autoplay on their mobile devices or their laptops, but will be okay with the autoplay on the TV? It's their device, it's their same preference, right? So you have to treat all the devices from the same users equally. Don't get in the way. Pro tip number 6. This is often happens when the user is trying to put themselves direct into action, and then you block them by an interstitial with a help that they don't even require. Ask people when they want feedbacks, when they want help, nudge them, but don't block their way. This creates very big frustration. And if you are blocking users access, try to make sure that users is able to visually see it. In this example, this whole interstitial is basically blocking the access to the system. Here there's a cross button on the top, I'm not showing it, but user has to click to go it away. But they're not using any overlay to block the user's UI, so the user will keep clicking on the site imagining that this will go away, and it does not. So it frustrates the users a lot. So please avoid getting in the way of the user itself. um, Let's look at the next. So summarizing all the users context, 3 pro tips. Don't rely on the third party technology. Create backups after backups for users to access your system. Treat all the devices at the same level when they are coming from the same user, and don't get in the way of the user. It frustrates the user. Now let's look at group number 3, which is push your technology. And I want to start with this good example from Alvin is technology takes time. You can't rush technology like there is a popular belief that we are using AI and then we can create systems in like a matter of hours and then launch it and then expect it to work. Some processes cannot be rushed. You cannot cook food that takes 3 hours at 300 degrees Fahrenheit and supply the same amount of energy to that food for 1 hour and expect it to taste the same. It's not going to work like that. Sometimes time is essential for you to cover all the edge cases. Um, so let's look at how can you push your technology. Now, this is an example from American Airlines. They have their wallet support on iPhone, but they don't have any wallet support for their boarding passes on Android phones, even though 60-70% of their users use Android phones. And this is where it's been 10 years, they have not even pursued to create a boarding pass on Android phones. There is technologically no blocker from Android side to make this happen. There are other airlines that have done so. Why not American Airlines? It's just their priorities are different. So my request and pro tip number 7 is don't be a platform racist. Treat all the platforms as the same. If you're launching a feature on iPhones, launch the same thing on Android and launch the same thing on web, because the user can shift between different platforms. Um, just be careful. Pro tip number 8, when you're using AI to solve for fuzzy use cases. This is an example where the user searched for yoga mat and is presented with a training potty chair. This is not helpful, especially when there are non-deterministic fuzzy searches. You cannot rely on results that are inaccurate. Giving the results like this is definitely going to lose the trust between you and your customer. Um, so take your time and do proper testing and test as much as possible when you're definitely designing with AI. Um, when there are no results, it creates a problem for the user. Now, in this example where the user wants to delete, there is a feature where in Google Photos you can delete uh, large sizes, videos, and photos very easily. But then there is an option to compress them for free. Now it says compressing your photos and videos may take over an hour, and this cannot be undone. Now that's fine. Okay, this cannot be undone. This is very clear message from the Google, but they don't show you which photos and which videos are they going to like compress and destroy. There is no way to recover any idea. Now this is a very delicate, dangerous situation for the user to click that compress button. And I'm very sure that most of them do not press this compress button because they do not know what's going to happen. Uh, how you can turn this around? Sometimes there is no solution. So I think my pro tip number 9 is to convert your no results into more results. Now in this example, this is an example from Crocs website where the user is searching for a white slipper of size 7. It's not available, it's out of stock. But what they do is they convert their CTA into something else, which is called shop all in size M7. They are kind of creating an opportunity here for the users to convert no results into more results. This is a very good example where you can use this kind of um, I call it soft nudge to the user and create an opt-in instead of creating a interstitial on their face that, hey, this is not available, there's nothing we can do about it. They are creating an opportunity to the next step, which is converting their limitations into more business. So this is a great example. So summarizing principle number 3, which is pushing your technology. Don't be a platform racist. Pro tip number 8, take your time when launching with AI. And pro tip number 9 is convert your no results into more results. Now let's talk about the last one, which is be transparent. Principle number 4. This is really, really important. I'll show you why. This is why important because technology is not, especially digital technology, is not that new anymore. We are many millennials, Gen Z. We use technology all day long. Everybody's an expert. Even 3-year-olds can do online shopping very easily. So to expect users to not see through your dark UX is kind of not going to work anymore. It was fine in 2005, but now people can see through it. For this example, when you get a notification in your email that an Amazon package is out of delivery, they don't show you which package. They have the entire technology stack to be able to show you why, like which package that they're talking about, but they nudge you to click on their track your package button so that you can visit their website and then purchase more ideas. This is certainly non-transparent, shady, and comes under the dark UX side of non-ethical behavior. My pro tip number 10 is don't be shady like this. This is not smart. People can see through it. Whereas you can do so much more here when you create empathy with your customers. Now, when Air India transferred from Air India's corporation to Tata, there was a lot of mess that was happening, and existing tickets got cancelled, they were shifted, seats were getting not booked. So I was flying from New York to India that at that time, and then I was having a lot of difficulties getting my boarding pass, and my tickets were like getting messed up. My PNR numbers were getting shifted. What Air India did is, from the Tata side, they sent me an apology email saying that we acknowledge that the seats are outdated and worn out. Uh, and they also gave me a business plan on when and how they're going to replace it. This is where they accepted what they cannot do, and then they showed the user what are their steps to remediate their issues. So this is my pro tip number 11 and 12 is be transparent to accept what you cannot do and then show what you can do instead, so that you can create a kind of reverse empathy from customers to your product. This is definitely, everybody tells you to be empathetic towards your customers, but you can also engage customers to be empathetic towards your product and your processes. So to summarize, I think I want to say for transparency, don't be shady. People see through it, accept what you cannot, and show what you can. So I think these are 12 pro tips that you can use in your product design and product management every time to create amazing products. They're grouped under 4 principles. You can take a screenshot for this and then print it and keep it on your table whenever you're designing the products. Um, I have a little bit of time, so I want to focus on shifting the strategy towards like creating some principles, 7 or 8 principles, which kind of create a holistic design. So, in today's world, I think we are product design itself is business oriented a lot, and we are kind of tuned or like forced to design for clicks. We focus on metrics which are often based on success measured by engagement, conversion, and retention. And this kind of leads to all these dark patterns that I discussed before, and leads to kind of subpar experience now, especially when the users are very mature. They can see through all these things. And I want to shift your focus using those principles that and prototypes that I discussed towards conscious design, which is to look beyond the surface level interactions and consider the user's entire experience emotionally, intellectually, and even holistically. So, what are the things we can do? So, I think the first thing is tuning into the security and the survival aspect of the product. This is where does your product feel safe, stable, or reliable? This is where we are talking about can the user log in or log out very easily? Is there continuity between the devices? So I think the UX principles that you can focus here are usability, which is the product easy to use and navigate? Reliability, does it work as expected without bugs or crashes? And security, which is my data safe? Is my privacy respected? Is the product transparent enough to disclose everything they're doing with my data? So, for example, a banking app must have a rock solid security and incredibly reliable. And if it fails there, there might be other features, but it doesn't matter. Security at the root level is very important. The second level would be to go and make the product enjoyable. This is where you can put your creativity and into play and then make the product visually appealing and joyful and just fun to use. The UX principles that you can point here are aesthetics, which is the visual design of the product appealing. There is a direct correlation between the reliability and trust factor and the visual appeal of the product. Are there curves? Are they pointy? These are the colors in tune with the cultural understanding of the colors. Is red color used in India versus red color used in Japan? So they mean different things. So aesthetically, is it appropriate and as well as appealing? Is it joy to use? Does the product create moments of delight? There are micro interactions, animations, celebrations that you can do when a good thing happens in your product. These are all the things that create joy when using your product. And put your creativity in the product, which is does the product allow users self-expression, which is mostly related to social media, and that's why they are very delightful to use and very attractive to users, is because users can put their own items in that product and customize it. So for example, Instagram filters is a creative tool that allows users to express themselves, making the experience not only pleasurable but also personalizable, because there's something that is unique to the user itself that they're sharing. So create moments like that in your product. The second one is about the third one, sorry, is about the power and self-esteem. Is it's about enabling users to feel powerful and in control of their situation or the task that they are doing, and in control of the environment around them. um, the a well-designed product should feel like a tool that is in the user's hand, but it's not a confusing maze that they have to fight through it. We empower users by giving them clear controls, customization options, and efficient path to their goals. So the UX principles that you can focus here are user control and freedom, which is can user easily undo their mistakes? Can they customize their experience? Can they take shortcuts in the app, or do have to go through all the steps one by one all the time? And which is why efficiency of the user flow is very important, because does the product help the users achieve their goals effectively and feel productive? Or empowering the user, which is does your tool make the user feel smarter and faster and more powerful? For example, a project management tool like Notion or Asana empowers the users by giving them control over their complex workflow and making them feel organized and capable, and that's why they are doing so well. The fourth one is about connections, and connections with yourself and connections with others. So, does this product, eh, does your product help the users to connect with others, or does the company even care about the user? The UX principle that you can use here are empathy, which is Does the design show an understanding of the user's feeling and context? Community building, which is, does the product foster a sense of belonging and connection between the users? And support, which is it easy to get help? Does the customer feel supported, and is there a human caring for them, or they are just frustrating getting through the AI chatbot all the time? Um, Help the users connect with support systems as fast as possible. I know it's expensive. I know people are taking shortcuts with this, but this is not working very well. You can take an overall experience feedback from all your customers, and they will come pretty much, I'm very sure, on the same side of they're frustrated with the AI support. Um, for examples, you can create social features, community forums, and genuine, helpful, and empathetic customer services, call centers to help with this. Now, the fifth one I want to focus on is communication. It should be clear, honest, and transparent. As we move on to the higher levels of UX principles, we need to start building trust, and this is where the UX writing, information architecture are very critical. So some UX principles you can focus on is clarity, which is your support document free of jargons? Is it easy to understand? Uh, is it versioned properly? Does the documentation match the version of the product that is in the world out there? Sometimes there's a big mismatch. Your documentation says 10 steps, but they don't match with what is in the UI itself. So you have to be very sure that you are taking documentation as part of the product launch itself. Honesty, which is being transparent and disclosing everything that system does accurately, and giving feedback, which is not using those fake um timers and loading screens just to like disguise the limitations. If there are limitations in the systems, be open to sharing them, and that would create more trust. Imagine yourself talking to a human. If you're talking to somebody, you don't want them to blank out and look in the space, right? And still like keep talking to you. So this subtle body language is very important in your product itself. A product with a clear error message, transparent pricing, and straightforward language builds trust and ensure that the user feels very respected. Um, I'm going to finish very soon. This is my seventh principle, which is intuition and wisdom. This is um, about a great experience that feels magical, and this is achieved through deep user research, very smart defaults, taking and helping users to like get into action directly without getting too much into configuration before, and effective personalizations that make the users feel seen and understood. So is your product very intuitive, or does it anticipate my needs before even I want them? Uh, there are a lot of examples in there. I'm sure the products you love, look through them and see where the designers and the developers have put focus on anticipating your needs and then giving you details beforehand. Catch those ideas and then incorporate them into your product. So some UX principles you can use are intuitiveness, which is, can the users accomplish tasks without conscious effort? Personalization, which is, does the experience adapt to my needs? And anticipation, which is, does the product surface the right information at the right time? This is very important because we don't want to overwhelm the user. We want to help the users progressively get into the finish line easier and faster. For example, a music streaming app which creates a perfect playlist for my favorite songs, the songs which I even don't know about, feels like it's reading your mind, right? It's anticipating what next songs I might like, and sometimes it works very well. So this creates a great experience for your product, and then people are engaged more and more. Um, and the last principles I want to focus on is the purpose and the flow, which is about the product transcends its functions and becomes a transformative tool. So at this level, the user is so engrossed and focused that the product helps them achieve something that they were not able to do on their own. This is where you kind of transform your product from a tool to a companion. Uh, so the main principles that you can focus here are the flow state, which is does the tool allows for deep uninterrupted focus. Transformation, which is does the product help users grow or achieve in meaningful goals, and the meaning, which is does using the product align with users value or pushing them into something that they don't really like. um, which for example, like a well-designed writing app that minimizes distractions and allow users and authors to enter into a state of flow and become seamless, an extension of their own creative process, is a perfect examples of how you can achieve a companion level with your product. So I want to summarize everything. Is design with all the core human needs and make your product which help users feel successful and enrich with joy. Ask yourself these questions: which is your product reliable? Is your product enjoyable? Is it's empowering the user? Is it connecting the users with different moments of life? Is it very clear? Is it intuitive? And is it transformative? And with this, I will end my presentation on different UX principles that you can use. You can definitely find me on my LinkedIn. Search Pratyush Tiwari on Google. I'm sure you will be able to locate me. My website is ptiwari.com. You can also find various social media links out there, and my LinkedIn handle is Pratyush Tiwari. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to um, lend a ear and listen to what you have to say. And with that, I kind of end the session. Thank you for attending, and it's a pleasure from the uh, Uttar Pradesh BI community to help me share my ideas and voice on this platform. And it's been great. And thank you for the organizers to kind of painstakingly dealing with my schedule and helping me put this out there.
Okay, thank you so much for this insightful session. We are really glad you joined us in this busy schedule and that too on YouTube. And it's morning for you, we all know that, and it's a bit early too as well. So before proceeding with the questions from the attendees on the YouTube, I would just request you to give us one piece of advice from apart from the domain just for the life.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
I would just ask you to share one piece of advice for our attendees in the audience apart from the domain knowledge, just like for the life sciences, something which you could share with us.
Yes, definitely. I think beyond all the principles that I have shared, these are amazing ways to like create wonderful products. But you definitely do not work alone, and you work with a big team, and everybody will have different focus and goals. Find a common ground between your teammates. Find a common shared understanding of the uh, success criterias between your team. Discuss openly, and when you have a common goal that everybody is kind of inspired to reach there, I think whatever product you make, it's fun to go through the process itself. Like if you're fighting and having a conflict with your teammates all the time, I think it's much more harder to achieve the goal and make a delightful product. So early on, create bondings with your teammates as well. That one piece of advice I will definitely share with the community here.
Okay, so anyone, if you want to join us live, you can raise your hand. So I'm proceeding with the questions which we have collected from YouTube. I've shared them on WhatsApp with you. You can cover them there.
Okay. Um, so I have a few questions here. I think the first question is, what is an edge case and why uh, is resolving them a key measure of product's reliability? This is because I was saying earlier also, these are digital products, and then when you deploy your system, often people are using it in different contexts that you probably not have even thought of. Like you would design somebody to receive an SMS, but they are traveling through an elevator and there is no signal, and then your login is timed out, and this is where you have failed an edge case, where like you did not think about that use case and the user is not able to log in again. Or uh, sometimes you have created a model where users have entered all the big information in a tiny dialogue and then accidentally hit escape key or clicked outside the window, and everything that they have put like 20 minutes of work is gone and they have to re-enter everything. Or an OTP comes, right? And then there is a dialogue. And instead of adding the OTP, they accidentally click outside and then they have to regenerate the OTP. These are the things where the edge cases are failing, and resolving them definitely is a key measure for your product's reliability, because this is stopping users from even entering into your workflow. So it's very important um, to test your system in as brutal conditions as possible. Next question is, according to the pure method, how is the overall usability, color, or the score of the product determined? So this is up to you. This is totally okay. You can determine that my red color, which is basically it's only three values, 1, 2, and 3, and you can assign any color to it. Color doesn't mean anything. It's just that your goal is to minimize the score as much as possible over time. So you can start with 100, and then you just have to see that, hey, am I getting to 90? Am I getting to 80 or 70? If I'm not getting, basically my complexity is staying the same, or it might even increase. Like sometimes that can also happen, which is kind of the reverse of what you want. So it's not the current score. It's not like a heuristic of the complexity of the system. It's a heuristic of the rate of the complexity change over time. So you can define a baseline at any point of time. Like let's say my baseline is version 1, and I'm just measuring against, is my complexity going down or going up? That's it. So that's how the pure method is used, which is kind of different from other methods, which is a snapshot of that version at the same time. Um, Principle 1, expand your goals. Suggest incorporating feedback from beyond the product team. Name 3 other key groups highlighted in the diagram. Definitely. So I think the first and foremost is your sales team, which is the customer success sales team. They are the people who are often promising features to customers before even they are even thought about by the product team. So definitely have a very close loop friendship with the sales team. Then there is the infrastructure team, which is your IT. There are a lot of nuances where you changing the system from AWS to Azure to like local cloud and things like that can break the system a lot. There are unfathomness of complexity in these kind of systems. So definitely incorporating feedback from uh, infrastructure team early on will help you design systems that can fail and be recovered very easily. And I think another group would be your executive C-lead. These are the people often they focus a lot on the business. Definitely your C-level people, which are the C-lead teams, often called as executives, um, create matrices of numbers. They love that. That's why I think the pure method is kind of helpful for you to communicate the change in the system. Sometimes when you are changing the design of a product, that requires a lot of effort, but it does not cause any monetary gain in the system. I think that's one of those hardest problems to push in a company. So you can definitely create analytics based on numbers. Some of the examples I gave in my slide. So you can go back in the video and see those things. Use those numbers to kind of tell your executives to start focusing on these items. Okay, next question. What is one of the practical guidelines given under principle to live in your user context for safeguarding users' experience? Um, One of the most practical guidelines I would say is CarPlay, and basically when you're driving, you can use your voice, you can use your gestures, but you definitely cannot look at the screen. So um, creating, if you're definitely designing your product which is going to be used while driving, you have to definitely think about a different modality and a 5 feet UX, which is controlling your systems from far away, so that there are no micro interactions, there are no small buttons, there are no enough context of users environment required. So this is where living in the context of the user is really important, because that can lead to very fatal accidents if you don't focus on those items. I would suggest definitely testing these ideas are difficult because you cannot yourself test your ideas while driving. You can simulate it a little bit, and this is where I think it's really important to live in users context a lot. um, so that is one example where safety is a primal goal for the system. Question 5. Under principle 3, push your technology. What is the critical difference between message that says no results found and the one says no results yet? Uh, I think the one is the first one, which is no results found, is giving up, which is basically I know I don't have a result, and no results yet means that there is an opportunity that is pending. But mind it, I'm not favoring any one of them, because sometimes no results found can be the most important thing for you to say. For example, if you're doing scientific publications and research, or doing something which is like a critical defense thing, or in public services, no results found could be a very meaningful results that is very optimal for that user's context, whereas no results yet could be something which is opportunistic. If you're trying to create an e-commerce product, something like that, or you're trying to launch a product which is coming in the future, you can use the no results yet method to like create anticipations for the users. So always see your users context, whether curbing down their curiosity is what you need to do right now, or elevating their curiosity is what you need to do yet. So that's how you can like judge between what message you to use. Okay, question 6. How does the example of the airline acknowledging worn out seats and sharing the roadmap under principle 4 help build customer relationship? So this is, I don't know if this was an accident or was a planned communication from Air India, but Air India has been uh, fighting with customer feedback for a long time, there is a very strong sense of that airline does not care about the users a lot. And I think Tata had to really shift that focus from that, especially with the recent critical accidents that have happened, that has caused even more uh, problems for the airline. So I think they're trying to be more transparent. I'm not sure if they were able to do that, but in my example, it was early on and it wasn't political, so they were able to um, kind of like share the roadmaps of like procuring new planes and then changing the flight patterns and then how they are going to replace the seats over time. That kind of helped me that, hey, if I book a ticket in like 4 months of time, I'm going to get a new plane, which did happen. So between April and September, they had launched new planes, and they were not only accurate in their communication 4 months ago, but they also delivered on that. So this created more trust for me in this case. So definitely you can use that kind of principle to help users kind of look out for you in the future and not give up hope, which is very important as well. Um, Question 7. According to the designing for the whole human framework, which is the core human need and UX principles, would a feature like community forums directly address? Yes, it definitely addresses that. Community forums also creates a lot of advocates for your own product. So sometimes, like especially in very large companies where your product is very popular and you're getting feedbacks in millions of notes per day, I think creating a community forum is very helpful because people love to help other people, especially when they have solved a problem. Uh, if your product definitely is very customizable, hackable, and you can tinker with it, community forums is the best way to do it because then you kind of like open source the entire customer service and create so many more uh, kind of customer success stories, which not only are passionate about how they solve the problem, but also passionate about sharing it more than what you can pay a customer service agent to do it. And definitely community forums in those kind of contexts are really helpful. That's about the last question I had, and we are also about time. So
Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us. It was really, really insightful for all of us. And we got to know many new points, new perspectives, how we can see the world with different views. So if you would like to share any other thing with us before ending, we are opening the stage for you, and after that we can end the session.
no, I just thank for the opportunity, and Naila, thank you so much, Mohit, for giving feedbacks on what the audiences needed here. So I'm really helpful for your guidance here and giving me the opportunity to speak here today.
Okay,